Hello Duckies, and welcome to what is now our first episode for a supplementary podcast to the Duck in Review show. It's Retro Duck, and it's a bit different. We're going to be reviewing complete films, and each film or run of films is within a theme, and this theme is 80s action films. And we're going to be sprinkling these lovingly in between our regular podcast. As always, I'm Carl, and I'm joined by Matt.
Hello.
And Lee.
Howdy.
And the first film that we're looking at in this run is Commando, the original 80s action movie.
It really is, in a lot of ways, the blueprint, like quite low budget sort of action movie that's kind of set a trend, especially for Arnie, in terms of going forward, what an 80s action movie should be. We're not saying it's the first, because there's, 48 hours in films like that come before it, but I guess it is one of the very early,
quintessential.
One of the quintessentials, but before they became
after Terminator.
Budgety. Well, yeah, but Terminator's not really is an 80s action movie, but it's not an air quotes 80s action movie, is it?
Yeah, and how are we defining that in terms of this?
Well, it's
what does this have that? Oh shit!
Well,
what does Terminator not have that this has loads of?
Terminator is really science
cheese.
fiction, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a sci-fi action movie. This is an action movie. Well, it's kind of like Rambo, isn't it?
Yes.
But I think Rambo maybe predates it. Well, the first one does, but that's not an action movie. But I didn't actually look up when Rambo 2 came out. But this is definitely the first of Arnie's real proper action movies.
Yeah.
I wrote a list down actually of
directed by
Mark L. Lester.
Right.
I looked at what else he did, and it was all a bit rubbish. This is his peak.
Right. His start and his finish.
Yeah.
Right.
Produced by Joel Silver, who everyone is a very famous name, and he, did loads of awesome producing like Predator. All the Lethal Weapon films,
right?
Matrix, he's
the one.
Yeah, he's the guy, really.
Right.
And in terms of Arnie's films, this sits between a film called Red Sonja and Raw Deal.
Red Sonja.
Is Red Sonja the one where he's Russian or something?
No, that's Red Heat. That comes a bit later. Red Sonja is, basically his first really big film he did was Conan the Barbarian in 1982, followed by Conan the Destroyer in 1984, followed by Terminator in 1984, followed by Red Sonja, which is a lot like Conan. It's kind of like swords and sorcery sort of film. It's really bad. It's got Bridget Nielsen's the main actress in it.
Oh wow.
Then it was Commando. Then his next film was Raw Deal.
Red Sonja and Raw Deal.
Yeah. Raw Deal's not very good. It's like Commando, but shit. And then his next film was Predator, and then you get into like the classic Arnie. So this, in a lot of ways, is like
the precursor.
Right.
And this is a film that really set him up as the Arnie that you remember him for. That kind of
the Arnie that we know and love.
Yeah. But yeah, let's talk about the film.
I watched. Did we all watch this last night?
Yeah.
Yeah, we all watched this last night.
Yeah, I watched it as well. I've seen it like loads of times. I've got it on DVD, so I've seen it a lot.
I think I've seen it once, and I saw it a long time ago, to the point that last night I pretty much might as well have not watched it before. It was just one of them, like, I hardly remembered any of it. First time you've seen it, Matt?
Yeah. I've never seen it before.
Do you remember your first time, Lee? Ooh.
Yeah, it was years ago. It was on telly. Like in the 90s.
Right.
So I'd have been about 15, something like that, when I first saw it. Just
That's probably a good age to watch such a film.
Because there's a bit of boobs in it. There's action. There's not really any plot. Well, there is a bit, but it's kind of
very loose. It's very loose.
Yeah. I guess we need to talk about the beginning of the film.
Yeah. If you're going right at the start, I'm going to probably jump in at one point What's the first thing that happens?
Well, you see, the first thing that happens, I think, is the bit with the bin lorry, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
right.
That's
so weird.
And basically, what's happening in these scenes? Spoiler alert: we're going to spoil this film, so if you've not seen it,
I think that's a given.
There's not much to spoil, but yeah, there's the bin lorry, and the guy gets killed. The people in the bin lorry kill a guy. Then the guy buys a car off another guy, the guy from Predator, the black guy from Predator, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Who keeps shaving himself in Predator. Yeah. He's one of the baddies in this, and he is getting a car and he kills the salesman, doesn't he? And nicks the car. So he
gets
killed.
What I love best about this car?
The price.
He drives it out the showroom. And then the next scene is where a guy who looks like a fat Freddie Mercury goes on the boat and the boat gets blown up. And that's Bennett. And the guy who gets blown up is actually the main baddie, and they fake his death. But all these guys are Arnie's ex-squad mates when he was in the Special Forces. And then it cuts to Arnie in his log cabin.
Going back to that the binman scene where they all get shot. I just love the fact that they just pull their guns out on him. They shoot him. They shoot the shit out of him. They shoot him loads and fully automatic.
They're like Uzis or something. Yeah. They both shoot him for ages. He falls to the floor, and then the guy who's in Predator just walks over and sort of looks at him to check. I'm not sure if he's dead. I'll shoot him a bit more.
Yeah.
When I watched it last night, I was kind of putting a post on Facebook saying, I'm watching Commando, so I missed that whole scene. Because I've kind of forgotten a bit about that happening. Because the beginning that I remember is Arnie. The first shot of Arnie is Arnie's muscly arm carrying a log, a whole log in one hand and a chainsaw in the other.
It's just a close up of his muscle.
Yeah, that's in his bicep. It just pans out slowly.
Yeah.
And you said carrying a log and a chainsaw. That's not health and safety. This guy's a maverick.
Yeah, look at that mullet.
His character is John Matrix.
What a name!
Yeah, what a name. John Matrix.
Matrix.
So you see him carrying a log. He goes to his house where his little girl lives with him. Mm-hmm. And then I think it goes into the credits. Or it goes into these scenes that's this... Shows him frolicking with his daughter, doesn't it?
Wow, really strange sort of ecstasy-laced montage.
Maybe it's the world we live in today that's warped our brains, but in that montage, my first thought was, his wife's a bit young.
Really?
She's really small.
I mean, he shows that he's doing wrestling moves on her in the swimming pool, isn't he?
Yeah.
Then I think they eat an ice cream and he puts it on her face.
Tough men need ice cream.
Yeah,
that's what I took home from that.
And then they feed a deer in the woods, Snow White.
Yeah. And they do some kung fu self-defense training.
Oh yeah. He's training her up to be hard.
It's like the beginning of Kick-Ass.
Yeah. And then
Big Girl, Big Daddy.
And then they're having breakfast, and his helicopter comes along, and it's his captain, his old general or whoever it is, comes and says, Matrix, they've killed all of your squad. I'm going to come after you.
It's
then he
straight
leaves.
into it, though, isn't it?
And then,
General Kirby,
he leaves, but he leaves two, Special Forces dudes behind to guard him. Then instantly, as soon as the helicopter takes off, some dude is in the bush and kills both of his guards.
He's just been sat there for ages.
Just waiting.
But doesn't Arnie smell them?
Yeah, he can smell them. He says, they are downwind. He says, what, you expect me to smell them? I did. And then he goes to get his gun from the cupboard or the shed.
What about the code on the gun cabinet?
Isn't it 13 or something?
Yeah, it's two numbers. It's 1 and 3.
Yes.
That's safe.
1, 3.
God.
So and then you get a bit of a scene where he kills a guy. His mate, who's not quite dead, he's there, kind of at the door, isn't he? The Special Forces guy who hadn't quite died. He couldn't smell them coming.
Yeah.
He opens the door and his dead body falls out. And then his daughter's gone, and there's a, dude in a chair, isn't there? Some, Mexican-looking guy.
Bond style, but
saying, right, you're going to do all this for us. Yeah. We got your daughter. You better comply or whatever. and
she dies.
Yeah,
she dies.
and he just goes wrong.
Wrong. I love that. Actually, it was bloody brilliant.
I can't remember what he says. It was something like, "You're gonna do what we say." He goes wrong. Shoots him around the head,
and
then they're driving off with his daughter, and he goes outside, picks up his car.
I love how he carries his car along for a while. He pushes it over the edge of a hill.
Yeah,
well, he flicks the bonnet up, doesn't he? Straight away he knows.
That they've
this
done
is
something.
what I would do.
Well, he sees the bonnet is a bit open, so all the cables are ripped out, so he has to then push start his car.
No, he doesn't. Well, yeah, I suppose he push starts it, but he's not like push start. He's push starting it without an engine. Just off a cliff.
Yeah.
There's just in here. Lots of shots of his feet slipping on the floor.
Which was awesome. When he's driving down that mountain, he's like getting thrown around like a rag doll.
He's like dead. So basically, he kind of chased them down that hill.
He's gonna hit us!
And then he just misses.
And then crashes at the bottom, and then they basically get him and knock him out, don't they? The next thing we know, we're in an airport, and they're putting him on a plane. Yeah,
because they've said that he's got like two guys, hasn't he? Babysitting Arnie.
Yeah, the big guy and the little guy, Sully. Yeah, and Sully says something. He goes, "I like you, Sully. Yeah. I'm gonna kill you last."
Yeah,
which is class.
Earlier on, we've missed this, and I've just been going along with it and not reading my notes at all.
Read your notes.
Yeah, sorry. There's like some brilliant parts in the his log cabin with his daughter when they were eating breakfast before the helicopter turns up. And he picks up his daughter's magazine, and I can't remember what it's called for the life of me.
Dude,
and he just goes, "Why don't they just call him Girl Judge and avoid all the confusion?"
Why don't they call her Girl Judge and have done with it?
Yeah, that is it, yeah. And then there's another bit, there's some like backstory, and he's like, "When I was a boy in East Germany, the communists said rock and roll was subversive."
Maybe it is.
Maybe they were right.
Yeah. That bit stuck with me when he said that.
That's really weird. Why is that so poignant?
I know. I pondered on that for a bit.
Well, you've got to think of when it was. East Germany was still a place then. So.
Yeah. I think like he ad-libbed that bit to bring home a message.
Yeah, maybe he did.
Keep it real.
Yeah, I've not researched that at all. Just trust me, it's fact.
Oh, did the intro remind you of another film by any chance?
Short Circuit.
It reminded me of, X-Men Origins, the Wolverine one.
Oh, I've not seen
it. Really?
Yeah, there's a bit where it's like pretty much the same. He's working as a lumberjack, and then he comes back to his log cabin in the mountains, and his little wifey's there.
Yes.
And then it all starts to go a bit weird, and people from his past turn up, and I was like, they've just ripped this off completely.
Well, I suppose really reiterating the point that this was the original
action.
A man, like, I guess it's like the ideal hunting man, isn't it? He's in the sticks in his log cabin, cutting wood, being a beast.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of like Arnie's performance in this film,
stellar.
Do you think it? To me, it's like
some of it's a bit crap.
It's bad, but Arnold—that's what you get with Arnold Schwarzenegger, isn't it?
Yeah.
But like, I think it's like one of the classic Arnie performances. You got all the really funny one-liners in it. There's so many lines in this film. And like, he might not be able to write, but he can do a retort really well, can't he?
Yeah.
A bit like in The Simpsons, where they've got and like he's always doing the Arnie lines.
Yeah.
And it must be hard to deliver those lines the way he does.
Yeah.
I mean,
such as
go.
Don't disturb my friend. He's dead. Tired.
On the plane.
After he's just broke a man's neck.
When he asked for... I don't think we're going to be able to avoid like going through scene for scene to a certain degree, because it's just pure like 90 minutes of brilliance. But when he's on that plane with the guy that's babysitting him, and he asked for a blanket and a pillow, what were you... you knew what was going to happen. Matt,
I thought he was just going to go to sleep.
Really? Yeah. I thought
he was going to parachute out.
Parachute out. Or make some kind of really messed up weapon.
Just pillow him to death, wrapped in a blanket, just hitting him with it.
Choking him with it.
He literally punches the guy in the face and the guy dies.
Yeah. No, he elbows him in the face, then cracks his neck.
Yes.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, he twists his head.
Oh, right.
And all the pillow
punches him to death.
All the pillow and the blanket was for was to make him comfortable after he was dead.
To make him look like he's asleep. Yeah. Don't disturb my friend. He's dead tired. And then what he does, he goes down into the luggage area and climbs onto the wheel of the plane as it's taken off. And does a 100-foot jump.
While it's doing about 100 mile an hour down a runway.
Well, I came to the only logical conclusion from that scene where he leaps from the wheel of a plane at that speed. We've seen things like this in another type of film. And the conclusion is he must be a Jedi. Only Jedis can make that jump and not die.
I think when it cuts to him landing as well, he lands
in a bush.
In some sort of like reeds, flat on his arse.
Yeah.
And I was like, he just stands straight back up. I was like, how is his coccyx not shattered as well as his spine?
Because it's coated within 6 inches of pure muscle.
A difficult part of the body to work out and develop.
The coccyx muscles.
Yeah.
He does so many squats, his buttocks muscles are covered halfway up his back or something.
Yeah, he's developed like Mario-like skills where he can like arse attack. Bounce straight up into the air. I at this point stopped doing like frame for frame note taking, even though I wanted to. The only things I've got here that like tie into what you were saying with like Arnie's performance and like what he is in this film.
This is the film that really sets it off in a lot of ways for me.
But he's almost got that like wrestler type sort of thing going on, you know, in this film where he rips the seat out of a car.
Yeah, rips the seat out. He pulls out a phone box with that guy in it.
He just lifts it up and shakes him in it.
With a man in it.
Yeah.
I think he really did that.
It looks like he did.
Probably picked it up.
A bloody phone box.
And there was a guy in it, and this is before CGI.
Yeah.
So
on that, it reminded me. Do you know when he pulls the seat out of the car? Did you notice how ridiculous it is? Because he does that, and then even when he sits in the car without the seat, his head's still above hers. It's so massive.
It didn't achieve anything ripping the seat out.
So I guess
it looked like bloody Noddy.
The car and the woman in the car, that is Ray Dawn Chong, who is Chong from Cheech and Chong. That's his daughter.
Wow.
So that's who it is.
She's pretty bad, isn't she?
She's really funny though, isn't she?
Yeah.
She's
and you've got that because what? Let's go back to the film, right? So what's happened at this point is in the airport as Sully's leaving, he's hitting on Ray Dawn Chong. She's like an air hostess or something.
Yeah.
And she's kind of said, "I'm not interested." And Arnie comes back into the airport and he sees like Sully talking to her, and then he gets her and says, "Right, I want you to go." He gets her to go and see him in the pub while he's watching or something.
That Sully guy's in the car park and he follows him back, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Gets in the car with her and says, "Follow him."
Yeah.
So
but this is there's a bit before it though, in the airport where
he tries to hit on her and everything, and that goes south.
Do they then follow him and then they go into the bar later?
They follow him
to
the mall.
Right,
she's going to the car park. The bad guy follows her to the car park, and Arnie follows him. And then they all end up in that like multi-story. The bad guy's being a complete jerk and a bit rapey. If anything, I thought, god,
he's not taking off an answer.
Yeah. And then Arnie comes up to her and he was like,
after he's gone. He just calls her a cheap whore, doesn't he? And goes off like
cheap whore.
And then goes off in his yellow Porsche. And then she gets in her car and Arnie comes along.
Rips the seat out.
She thinks he's kidnapping her, which he is in a sense.
Yeah, he is.
And it makes him follow Sully to where he's going, which is the bar where he meets the guy and gets all his passports.
Who does a dodgy deal in a bar in the middle of a mall?
It's the 80s.
It's the 80s.
And it just completely threw. I was like, if that was the Metro Centre in Wetherspoons, that's just some. Well,
that sort of stuff is going down.
What are you on about? That stuff happens in Hartlepool all the time.
You do it in plain sight, don't you? You do a deal like that.
Do you, Lee?
Yeah, of course you do. That's why I do all my dealings in plain sight.
When they're on the way to like the shopping mall, so it's Arnie and Chong in the car.
Chong.
And
we just call her Chong.
Yeah, in the car. And there's a little bit of story development where she's asking, very calmly, considering that she's had her car seat ripped out.
She doesn't care.
She's been kidnapped.
This is sort of her full sort of
he's
mood throughout the full film.
Yeah.
She doesn't care.
It's her day to day.
She's just like, oh yeah, he's killing everyone.
But they have that catch up, if you want to call it that. And I thought that they were talking about my job, because she says, "What do you do?" And he goes, "Things you don't want to know about." And then he goes, "Things I don't want to know about." And I was like, can relate to that.
So you get this action scene in this mall where she talks to a security guard in the pub while she's following Sully, and then all these mall cops come and try and take Arnie out.
And he just
she dubs him in, doesn't she?
Basically. Yeah. But then she realises partway through this that he's not a bad guy, but for some reason. But he's taking on all these cops. There's 6 or 7 of them.
He just hulks out, doesn't he?
Yeah, they all jump on him and he goes rah! Jumps up. You can't see what I'm doing, but he does
awesome.
Shuts his arms up, and all the cops fly off. And then Sully goes in the phone box and he picks up the phone box and shakes him about and chucks it. Sully runs away and gets in the lift, and Arnie gets this tube in.
It's awesome.
And then Tarzan's onto the top of the lift he's in, doesn't he, to follow him down.
I watched this with my girlfriend, and when he did that jump down, she was like, somebody did that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. It's really good.
Is that what gets the adrenaline going more when we're watching these older action films?
You know
someone might die.
Yeah, all of this pretty much happened in one way or another. Maybe with a few more harnesses. But
yeah, I mean, it's a really funny fight where Arnie's fighting loads of guys and just being a beast, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
And it's really classic. And so yeah, that's a really cool action scene. And then you get him, he chases Sully in the car, so he's driving the little red car and Sully's in his Porsche.
Nice.
And they're having a cool car chase where they're ramming into each other and stuff. And eventually he tips Sully's car over.
Yeah.
And then he picks Sully up and holds him off the side of a cliff and says, "I've got to remind you, Sully." He's holding him in his left hand at this point. He goes, "I've got to remind you, Sully, this is my weak arm," doesn't he? And then he kind of questions him, and it's the best line in the film, and he says, "Remember when I said I'd kill you last?" And he goes, "Yeah, Matrix, yeah, you did. I lied." And just drops him off the cliff.
Meanwhile, this was what I was thinking again, meanwhile, the woman's just sort of sat in the car, just like... And then he comes back and she goes, "So, what did you do?"
Yeah. "I had to let him go."
Yeah, I had to let him go. She doesn't care.
She doesn't care. She just seriously does not care.
She's heartless.
80s women.
Yeah. And a pilot, but we'll get to that later.
Oh, yeah. That's a bit of exposition.
So at this point, I guess we need to talk a bit more. We see a bit more of the baddies, don't we? And we see that, Bennett, the baddie, we're not really talked about him, and he's the best thing about the film, to be honest.
In his weird string vest.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. And he's like I said, like a fat Freddie Mercury circa 1985, when it was kind of Magic Freddie with the big biker moustache.
Leather gloves.
Done
he's Australian as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Arnie goes on a point and click adventure to find all the clues, and he goes and follows him to, because originally he follows him to the mall, doesn't he?
Yeah, but then he gets a key to the room, doesn't he?
Yeah. He clicks on different parts of his body until the key appears out of the pocket. And it goes all up close to his face.
Yeah, that's funny.
Hotel 409.
Yeah. Well, Bennett is one of Arnie's ex-squad mates who got kicked out, and Arnie says because he likes killing too much.
Yeah.
Right. So Arnie said this guy just likes killing too much. Now, with that in mind, it's quite interesting to know that in this film, Arnie kills 81. There's a body count of 88 in this film. Arnie kills 81 of them.
Right.
So, who likes killing the most? Arnie has the numbers, you see, but maybe he doesn't like it.
Maybe he's not enjoying it.
He hates killing, but he does it with such panache.
Yeah. Well, he's just good at it. He's been trained. Yeah. There's one thing this guy's good at. Killing.
But you get the scene with Bennett and the guy, because what they want Arnie to do, we've not even talked about this. The reason he kidnaps his daughter is this guy wants to overthrow the president of this island in
Valverde,
so some island, and he wants Arnie to go and assassinate this guy, and when they've done that, they'll let go of his daughter.
Did you think no, they won't?
Well, no, they wouldn't, would they? Arnie knows that. That's why he doesn't do it, obviously. But you get a really funny scene with all the guys at the base where this El Presidente man lives, with all these minions, and you got Bennett like talking about Arnie, saying like, if he comes here and like to kill you, I'm the only thing that stands between him and you. You know, so you got to respect me and stuff. Says, and I've got the edge because I've got his daughter. And it's just like really funny, and you kind of like, he's just like the most camp baddie.
He's a weird guy.
He's like, you think this guy could never have a fight with Arnie because he's like,
well, he hasn't got a muscle on him.
Oh, he's just like,
he's just like
fat,
and he's just a fat Aussie bloke in a string vest.
Right. I think we need something I need to mention about this guy Bennett as well. He's called Vernon Wells, the actor, and he's in Mad Max 2. He's one of the baddies in Mad Max 2. He's like one of the gimp baddies in Mad Max 2.
Right, that explains a lot.
Yeah. And I think Mad Max 2 actually came out a couple of years before this film.
Tune in for the next episode for Mad Max 2.
By the way.
FYI.
Yeah. So like, he's a really funny baddie.
He's creepy though.
He's creepy. And that's what's good about him.
Yeah. He's got that.
But he's not like creepy as in like, oh, he's gonna really like mess me up. It's creepy as in he might like try and rape me.
Yeah. Creepy as in wouldn't let him look after my kids.
Yeah, which is probably Arnie's
sexual. Yeah.
You know, he's got his daughter.
We've got to a dark place here.
But yeah, and his daughter's locked in a little room in this building, and like, but we'll come back to that. So back to Arnie, and he goes to the hotel.
On his point and click adventure.
Yeah. Goes into the hotel room where they're going to meet the other guy from Predator, who's the baddie.
Leading on. Yeah.
So he goes into the room, makes it look like he's had sex. Well, he fakes it so that the guy thinks that Sully is there. So he puts the shower on, rips her top open.
Before that, they're searching the room, aren't they, to try and find clues. I don't know what clues, but the continuation of the point and click adventure. And she takes on the person in a point and click adventure that's stuck and lost their mind. Because I don't know if you notice, she looks under the phone. She picks the phone up. I was expecting, I've already looked here.
So the guy turns up.
Because the door goes.
The door goes. She answers the door, and Arnie's behind the door, and he comes in, and she pretends that Sully's in the shower. Then Arnie comes out, and the guy says, "Hey, something, something, something. I'm a Green Beret. I'm going to kick your ass."
Oh yeah, he's doing all
that. Arnie delivers a classic line.
Yeah, what was it?
I eat Green Berets for breakfast.
Yeah.
And right now, I'm very hungry.
And they're doing that like...
They have this fight
where they both look like they're coked up. Yeah. They both just look really like...
You stand and look at each other for a while.
Sweating.
But then it's a really brutal fight though, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he kicks him through a door.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm going to be saying that a lot. Yeah. The only note that I've got written down...
And in the next room, there's someone having sex. It goes through the door into the next room. And it's just a woman with massive boobs, fully nude. That's the 1980s gratuitous bit of boobs that didn't need to be there.
Just put the boob in. Yeah, it's almost like Hammer Horror kind of like. Just
keep them happy. Put the boobs back in.
Put the boob in, and I've got written down throughout the whole of this is just these guys eat too much red meat.
Oh yeah, and she goes, "What is this macho bullshit?"
Yeah.
And these guys eat too much red meat.
It's just macho bullshit.
Yeah, so the fight for a while, don't they? He gets kicked through a door, and you think that normally would end a man. But no, they keep going, and then Arnie chucks him back through the same door.
Yeah.
And you just see a sort of...
like, it's been censored. Like, there was a version, because what's happened is the guy has landed on a spike of wood and it's coming out of his chest. Yeah. But you don't see him land on it. You just hear a noise, then you've got a spike coming out with red paint on it.
Do you think that was taken out?
I think it must have been cut for this country.
Lee watched
the DVD.
The DVD. I watched it on Sky Movies, and you watched it
on like iTunes.
Right. So, and we all there was no different bits.
No, I mean, I was actually, when I watched that, I thought, I wonder if the bit that isn't on my DVD is on the one that Carl's watching.
No. This bit will be the same for the European cut, won't it, or the UK cut.
So that's like, that was cut out, and fair enough, I guess. But it's so weird. Like, they could have just shown him it there. They didn't even set up the fact there's a spike of wood there, which is weird, because like normally you'd say, oh right, there's a spike of wood there, I wonder if someone will fall on that.
Some danger.
Gets put through the door, then you hear like, you kind of know that he's dead and like spike of wood, but they don't set up the wood.
You just see him with a bit of wood frame and the girl going.
Yeah, so that was pretty crappy, that bit, to be honest. It's got some really good lines.
And then. Sorry, I was going to say, but then it's back on to the point-and-click adventure.
Yes!
Where they go, right, what can we do? Oh, he's got some keys in his pocket. Let's look at his car. They go in his car, and what do they find? It's like a receipt for a fuel depot or something. And this is where the best exposition in the whole film is. And she goes, oh, I'm learning to fly. I'm a trainee pilot. That's where my teacher gets his fuel from.
Yeah, that was it.
And it's really strange.
I know that you can get fuel for a plane here, because once when I was having my flying lessons, the instructor pulled in and we got some fuel. But when he did that thing that teachers do where they make you go and do it, so you learn just a little bit more outside of the lessons.
It's quite funny, but they end up going to some sort of factory where something's going on in the factory that you don't really find out what it is. You can see there's a load of baddies in this factory, don't they? He climbs up into...
It's probably like some kind of heroin factory.
Yeah, probably. It doesn't really tell you what that is.
No.
And then they go in an aeroplane and fly to the island.
I'm trying to remember what that is, and that's because they don't tell you what it is. You sort of go, there's a factory there.
Yeah.
But look, there's a plane there.
Yeah.
There's another bit where she, like...
Oh, God! He gets arrested! They break into the gun shop.
We missed that whole bit out.
They steal all the guns.
Oh, we missed one of the best bits.
And then, like...
Oh, my God.
He gets arrested, doesn't he, after stealing all these guns. Because he goes, all right, we need to go shopping.
Yeah.
Then drives a bulldozer through the front window of the shop.
With the most awesome getting tooled up sort of montage going where he's grabbing like everything.
Yeah.
And she's like, what's that? And there's this massive like hexagonal chunk of metal. Rocket launcher. He gets nicked.
So, right.
Not for long.
No, and so like they're driving off, the woman follows in the car and shoots the rocket launcher at the car, but she's holding it backwards.
Yeah,
she pulls just a shop up behind her.
Yeah. She don't care.
But then
she doesn't care.
But then she shoots the rocket at the van, hits the van in the one spot you could hit it, which is underneath it, to turn it on its side and not kill everyone inside.
Yeah, she's a Jedi as well.
Yeah. Control that.
So you get that bit. But go on.
Would that be your first thought on like how to stop a van? Like I'd be freaking out, scared anyway. And the last thing I would do is pick up the most explosive thing that there is in the arsenal that they have and just fire a rocket at the person I want to save.
Yeah,
I'll save you.
He's in the back of the police van, so she just shoots a rocket at the back of the police van.
This'll learn ya.
Brilliant.
So that happens.
Weird scene.
And then what I don't understand is... the police...
That was technically next what happens. They go to the fuel place.
Yeah.
And they find out, that they're on that island. And then he goes, let's go shopping.
Yeah.
I just read my notes and we just literally said, where's the word what I've wrote down.
There's a brilliant piece of knowledge, though, during that fuel scene. And where her fuel knowledge is so precise and brilliant that she says... This is the exact fuel it would take to fly to that island in a particular plane.
She knows how many litres of fuel they need, yeah.
So
exact model.
They don't steal too much fuel.
Yeah.
So they take off, and then, so from there they take off in the plane, and they're chatting to air traffic control. Now, I don't know if you noticed who they're talking to on the radio.
Yeah, freaking did.
Oh, no.
It's Bill Paxton!
No, I didn't know.
Because I didn't notice it,
It's
but
a
then
young
you hear
little
the voice.
Paxton, and he's like in the Navy or something, isn't he?
You hear the voice, and he's like, well, I can't do his voice, but his
it,
voice...
go on.
I can only do it in the context of Aliens.
Just do that then.
Game over, man! Game over!
I'll do the line.
I can't even know.
You can't go to the island, man. It's game over. Whatever, but he's
It's pretty
guy.
close to that, actually.
And he said, you need to contact my general. La la la. Nothing really happens of that. Except maybe later on they must have contacted his general, but they go to the island.
Yeah, in that seaplane, watching it, I just got flashbacks of my childhood. It was like one of those weird little flashback things. Yeah, everything goes and I was like, whoa, I used to watch a cartoon that had one of those planes in, and it was Tailspin from Disney Channel.
Yeah, Baloo the Bird.
And I had to pause the whole thing and just YouTube it and be like,
Did you watch? Oh my god!
Oh, we all take
Did you watch the full intro?
yeah. And then I was like, right, resume.
Tailspin interlude.
Yeah. It's brilliant.
So yeah, cut to, we're at the island. I guess at this point we would have shown Bennett talking and being Bennett, but his daughter gets out of the little room as well at this point.
Because she's smart, and this leads me into just one quick point about females in this film. I know it's like really massively masculine and like and all of that, but I thought the female roles,
the two females in the film,
the only two, which is probably wrong, but like the only two were strong characters, like
quite empowered,
strong, empowered women. Like she's trained to be a pilot.
And uses a bazooka to blow up a police van.
Yeah, and like his daughter's smart as hell, and
she
pulls the doorknob off, doesn't she? And
uses
the end of it to break up the wood off the windows to get out.
So so Bennett's...
we haven't mentioned something.
What?
We should have mentioned this right at the start. Arnie's got 11 hours to rescue his daughter.
Oh god, yeah.
That's really important. Because of the time it takes for the flight to land.
Is it that important though? Because from him setting his watch to the next scene, it's been an hour and a half. And I was like, what's he been doing?
The poo.
The protein, it's coming out of me now.
I'll see it first, not agreeing with me.
So yeah, he had 11 hours. That's kind of the thing. He needs to get to this island in 11 hours, and he kind of manages it. Because they all find out that he's not on the plane, don't they? Because they bring the dead body off the plane. So Bennett is off to kill Arnie's daughter.
That's right.
He must take ages to get there.
Yeah,
as well. Yeah, because in that time, Arnie's sort of turned up. General Kirby's been notified that he's there and he's about to kick off. And delivers one hell of a line, no less. When I find it. He goes, have the local army or whatever monitor every police. This is wrong, by the way. I just wrote it really badly. He goes, have the local army or whatever monitor every police, airport and whatever channel. What are you expecting? World War III.
Yeah. Well, because he's so badass.
Yeah.
He's basically took a gun shop on his body with him as well.
So let's cut back to Arnie. So Arnie's coming off the aeroplane in his little rowing boat, rowing along. in his pants. In his pants.
The best pants ever.
For no reason at all.
And then
it's just in his pants. What's weird?
Well, is it weird though? Because what he does, he takes his clothes off, puts them in his bag. Doesn't want to get his clothes wet because they'll make him noisier.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Well, I don't know. I'm slowing down.
I've got my really quiet pants on.
No, but he doesn't want chafage, does he? He wants maximum. Right. So he puts his.
It's just so they can have those gratuitous rowing shots of his hex flying about everywhere. Oh, the sea is so resistant.
I'm glad I ribbed.
Again, it just added up to the homoeroticism that's throughout the film.
We haven't said that yet.
Well, we need to get to that. So when he comes on the beach, he gets dressed, he puts his body makeup on, he's putting guns everywhere, you got the classic 80s montage of, they recreate this exact montage in Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, don't they?
They do it in
when Aragorn's putting his weapons in his thing ready for the Battle of Helm's Deep. It's practically the same thing.
Shaun of the Dead to do it.
Yeah, well. Shaun of the Dead.
Well, every Edgar Wright film, I think, has it in.
I think it's just a staple, 80s montages, putting weapons in.
But it's really cool.
It's the best montage.
Like, let's tool up.
There's homework to be done here. I want to find out where the first Tool Up montage originated from.
Yeah, well, we'll
but
coming on our next podcast, the origin of the tooling up montage.
I think it's awesome. I love it.
I think Commando is like one of the classic ones.
Because he puts his war paint on, literally, and like he just it looks awesome.
Yeah, and then from that we get to him planting loads of C4 everywhere before he gets seen by anyone, killing the odd guard.
GoldenEye style.
God, yeah, this is where the body count starts, doesn't it?
It's
just, no, because then it came after what Lee was just talking about. I had to rewind it a few times. I'm sure he puts claymores down.
Yeah.
And he puts them the wrong way around.
Oh, wow.
Because you look at it and it says back, and he's put them...
Oh, they do always say that, don't they?
Yeah.
Back, face...
Yeah, and he puts them
face
facing the wall.
But you said that.
I want to
it
create
does
a
blow
dust
up every
storm.
building though, so maybe it's the right way around.
Well,
because when he sets them up, everything blows up.
Yeah, I hate to break it to you. What probably happened is that he put them the wrong way around, but the explosives team on the film did it the right way around.
No, I'm not saying that, but like if he's after blowing up the building, you want the explosion to go into the building.
Yeah. But someone would have to trigger it.
Yeah.
Well, he's got the thing for it. It's a remote bomb. He sets it off himself.
If any of you listening, if anybody's listening that isn't explosives expert or just a physicist in some realm of science,
a physicist in some realm of science, so a scientist
of some
physics,
persuasion,
explosions.
Email in at theduckingpodcast@gmail.com or at duckingpod. We want to know the correct way round.
Explosive knowledge.
Yeah.
The correct way round to put the claymore.
The explosions as well, by the way, are amazing. Oh. It's like that's where the budget went.
Yes.
But what they didn't do very well was the mannequins that they've used. It's just blatant mannequins
they don't even
on
move.
wooden poles. Yeah. Well, they do, but if the explosion goes off and all the legs fly up.
They just go, whoo, like someone's slipping on ice. It's just, whoo.
I mean, and from this, like, obviously all the soldiers come out and Onis just killing everyone.
Like a boss.
It's so weird because I can never really remember exactly what happens because it's so not memorable, that scene. He just kills everyone. He doesn't get hit by anything. But he kills everyone in such a way that you know that he's killed them, but you can't remember what happened because it's not very well done.
He shoots a load of people with various different guns. There's one point where you think, oh shit, he's nearly dead here because someone chucks a grenade at him.
Oh, yeah.
And he sort of jumps and it blows him up.
And it goes really high in the air.
Yeah. And then he crawls into that shed. And then there's sort of another little tool-up moment where he picks up some weird gears. And you're like, what's He's like, what's he going to do with these?
Saw blades.
Yeah, they're like
circular
saw blades. And then all of the people sort of amass around the shed, don't they? And they start unloading loads of bullets into it. And you're like, man, how's he survived this?
Yeah.
So they open the door and you're like, oh, where is he?
I had a tear in my eye.
I can't remember, does he shoot someone? Does he punch him? And then
he drops down the ceiling.
And just starts throwing discs at everyone.
Slicing the heads off.
Slicing heads off.
Tops of people's heads off.
Yeah, that man's scalp just falls off.
That's when like everyone in the audience is just going, hardcore!
At that point, Arnie's gone from machine gun to shotgun and he's just killing everyone. And eventually he finds himself in the
mansion thing.
Inside the house, in the final scene, the climactic scene with Bennett, who...
You've missed he kills that dictator man first, doesn't he?
Does he?
And when he does his nice pants thing, that's what I've got written down, nice pants, there's a cool little knife fight that he does, where he's chucking blades at people.
Oh, that's as he's getting... Oh yeah, and he has the, the clicky knife that fires at someone as well.
Yeah,
it's really cool. That's when he first gets. That's before he sets the claymores off backwards.
Yes, so he's still in stealth mode.
Right, continuation.
So he's in the mansion. He kills the dictator guy.
Yeah, not just with one shotgun blast.
Oh no!
He just keeps going. He shoots him about 1,000,000 times with a shotgun.
It's something we've not really mentioned as well. Every time something explodes, they do the classic 80s, show it from like 4 or 5 angles, don't they? The same explosion.
So it goes...
Money shot.
Yeah.
And it's just from each angle, every side.
Yeah, so it kills the dictator, but that's so
brilliant.
like...
I agree, brilliant.
The bit with him killing the dictator kind of doesn't mean anything. I think I've seen it so much, when I watch it...
I watched it for the first time and
I ignore a lot of what happens.
So Matt saw it first and it was nothing...
Yeah.
To be honest, he's sort of just like...
a guy.
He's just a man, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's just...
Bennett's like... Bennett's the real guy that you want to see kill.
He was boss number 1, the fake boss. So if we're talking computer games... Again,
which this whole thing's been a metaphor for so far.
It's the fake boss. Like, I'm up against the boss.
Before he dies and then comes back even bigger.
Yeah, it's not the real guy. So he just kills him, doesn't it?
It does. And then
it's just a piece of shit.
Does he hear his daughter screaming?
Yeah, he goes to save Jenny. It's like, Jenny!
Daddy!
Jenny!
He doesn't call it...
Jenny!
Nicole, Papa.
He doesn't call it Jenny though, does he? It's Chenny. It's like a C here. It's Chenny.
Get to the chopper!
So he ends up in a fight with... No, he gets shot on the arm, doesn't he?
Yeah.
By Bennett.
All a bit like...
So he's only got one arm.
And you're like, oh my god.
Then he gets into the fight with Bennett.
And this fight scene's wicked.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Right.
Just go on.
We've got the whole massive fight, and he ends up getting shot, and they're smashing each other into walls, and it's like, how's this guy... Like, he's looking at Arnie's been shot, because this guy won't stand a chance.
True.
But he's got shot in his weak arm, remember? He's only established that his left arm's his weak arm, so we know...
Vital information at the start there.
And then there's basically trying to push each other's head into a furnace, and Arnie pulls the metal door off it.
No, you've involved Mr. Bestman.
Go on,
I'm going to interject before you do the ending, which is good.
Go on.
There's that weird, again, homosexual erotica moment.
Yeah, which we're not saying's bad.
No, you just skipped over it completely.
We just know
where he's down, he's only got one arm, and he's like, pop your head out, go on, make it easy, I'll kill you quickly. And he does, but he doesn't shoot him, which is weird.
Yeah.
And then sort of going, come on, you don't need the gun.
Well, I'm pretty sure.
Like a man.
Yeah.
1-to-1. And then he's like...
It says this.
Oh, have you written it down?
Oh, brilliant.
Come on, Bennett, throw away the chicken-shaped gun. You don't just want to pull the trigger. Then I stopped writing for smart.
Well, that's essentially. But then he
says, because you want to stick it in.
Yeah, you want to use your knife. You want to stick it in and see what's going on in there as you twist the knife.
And then they do a really weird long stare.
And then Bennett's like looking with his knife, pulling like a pure cum face.
He's like,
oh yeah, I don't need the gun, John. I don't need the girl.
I don't need it, Matrix. I don't need it.
and
then this big fight starts
with the knife, and then just kind of like grunting and cuddling with the knife. So eventually, he pushes Bennett away, and Bennett gets electrocuted on some circuit boards.
But he's totally fine. He goes, bounces off.
Is my hair okay?
Yeah.
But as he bounces off, he punches him.
Yeah.
He swings into him and punches him.
This is where men were men.
And then what happens is Bennett gets the gun and he's about to shoot Arnie, and Arnie's leaning against the pipe, and he pulls off the pipe, chucks it through Bennett, goes through his chest and into like a boiler, and he says, "Let off some steam, Bennett." And then it pans out and you can see all the steam coming out of the pipe, and it's like,
I just want to clap. It was so good.
It's like, it's kind of like he's in love with Matrix, isn't it?
Yeah, there is something there.
Yeah.
I mean, like we say, there's this kind of weird...
It's like he's doing it for attention. He wants to see him again.
Yeah.
He's only doing it...
Well, it's like, as if the whole film was a setup just so he could fight him at the end.
They love each other.
I want to beat him. I want to become him.
Yeah.
I want to bet on him.
It's like they're a part of each other.
Yin and yang.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, like an equal. Like, he's always looking for the final level.
He was
Arnie
his Joker to his Batman.
Yeah.
So Bennett's dead.
dead. That's it.
No, he's not finished. Because he goes outside just as the General Kirby comes.
Oh yeah, it's really
and
well
he says,
timed.
and he lands and he's talking to him. He says, "So what do you left for me, Arnie?" He doesn't say that. Matrix. And he goes, "Just bodies."
Yeah. And they get in that plane.
They fly off. She's like, the thing
nothing.
is, why did she land again?
I know.
Did she bugger off?
Well, he left her with the radio call to get in touch with.
Was she just? Oh, she was just in the middle of the sea,
General
wasn't she?
Kirby.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I was forgetting that she didn't go to the island.
She moves the plane up, I guess, to get him. But like, she must have heard a commotion and seen some stuff. But we all know she's cold-blooded and doesn't
She don't care.
I mean,
She waits for a signal.
Yeah.
Is actually quite interesting. Is that there isn't a scene where Arnie like kisses the female lead.
No, yeah.
No.
Do you know? Like, so it's not done.
It's quite cold, though.
Yeah, there's no sort of romance between them, is there? Oh,
No.
he's just.
But I felt like there
needs
was
But
something.
then you feel at the end like they walk off and she catches up to them, doesn't it? And then they walk up and go into the plane. It's almost like, I've got my daughter now. I'm okay. Now I can start thinking about the sex.
Yeah.
And that's when she follows them into the plane. He's so single-minded in saving his daughter that he's not even thinking about like doing it to a hot chick.
Yeah, he's just the goal is rescue my daughter. The love for his daughter overrides like any sort of
Hardcore
and
dad.
all the drugs he's taken probably destroyed any sex drive within him.
On the steroids.
Yeah.
He's got no balls anymore.
I've got a little bit here about what happened after.
How do you mean?
They
Have you wrote an epilogue?
they flew off into the sunset, obviously, as we see, and they set up a international courier operation with the plane and Arnie and the daughter, and
Is that what happened?
Are they all bears?
Is that is that canon?
it's
It's Tailspin.
it's Tailspin.
So yeah, I guess that's Commando. We've gone through the film, we talked through it, virtually the whole film.
Yeah.
What's really weird is, like, we talk through it and like you get to about 40 minutes and you've only just jumped off the aeroplane and he's met, I think Ray Dawn Challenge doesn't come into it for about 40 minutes, and that's in a 90-minute film.
Yeah. Well, well over half, it's not even half, but close to half, not a great deal, sort of happened.
But it's that thing, in the 80s, films used to be 90 minutes long. Most films, like, a lot of films were just 90 minutes and you'd have a really basic plot.
Is that because all audiences in the 80s were on cocaine and couldn't watch something for longer?
Process anything for longer than that,
yeah, well, you can split it into nice sections, so like every 30 minutes you need a line of coke. So it's like 3 lines of coke. So that's a 3 lines movie.
Maybe like that's the editors were just full of coke and that's just how it should have been based.
Wait, has there been an explosion for 10? No, get one in. Get one in.
Quick.
But I mean,
quick.
like, what do you take from the film? I mean, I haven't seen it for the first time, Matt. How did it make you feel?
Well, you can see, like, obviously it's one of those first of its kind type movies. Well, if it's the first of its kind, but it's one of the earlier sort of crazy action over the top movies, and you can see how things have sort of gone on from that.
It's quite interesting that, like, I think when you look at the films that Arnie made in and around then, off the back of that, I imagine he got Commando off the back of Terminator.
Yeah.
You know,
when was True Lies? What's that?
94 or something.
Yeah.
And then after Commando, we did Raw Deal, but Commando was quite successful.
Yeah.
Commando was quite successful, and I think it was off the back of Commando that he got Predator. But in between Commando and Predator, we did a really crappy film because he still hadn't become. He'd filmed it, then shot Raw Deal, and when he was shooting Raw Deal, probably Commando come out, and I think this is the film that sets him up to be the massive star.
Yeah.
That sets him up with a massive film like Predator. So, like, it did set up Arnie for, like, his career. I know this film cost $10 million to make, so it's fairly low budget by those standards. But how much, I mean, I'm not sure how much it took. So we got here, is that opening weekend?
Opening weekend.
Opening weekend in America, it took 7.7 million. Right.
Which is pretty good.
That's a lot. In the 80s as well. But that's nearly made its budget back, so it really kind of successful. And it's Joel Silver, you know, made loads of films. Like, there was already a formula, because I think he produced 48 Hours and another 48 Hours, which came before this, so he was already onto that formula. But I think what this did is set up Arnie, and it's for what he the kind of 80s action movie, because 48 Hours is a buddy cop movie. It's a different sort of thing. This is like one man army sort of thing.
Go on a mission.
Which, kind of like Die Hard is the next step of that, I think.
Yeah.
Step up, bigger budget, more ambitious sort of thing.
More flesh on the bones.
Yeah, it's just a really good film, but I think that's, the next step, isn't it?
God, maybe the next one we do should be Die Hard.
Well, we're doing Mad Max
I
too.
know.
But yeah, I mean, my thoughts on this film, I guess we should wrap up now.
We need to wrap it up now.
This is like the archetypal Arnold Schwarzenegger sort of role, classic Arnold Schwarzenegger sort of role, outside of Terminator. This is the same kind. Like I could imagine Arnie in Predator. It's the same character, but this is what he used to do when he was in the Special Forces.
Yeah, it's almost like they're in the same universe.
Yeah, it totally is. And so it's flipped. So Arnie's like, I had a bad time with the Predator, so we had to retire.
Yeah,
this is what happened after it.
And when she's saying, "What did you used to do?"
I don't want to talk about it.
Things you don't want to know. Things I don't want to know. You would say that if you'd just done Predator.
But yeah, so it's kind of like I think it's a really bad movie done really well.
But it's got your one-liners, it's got your action, your muscle, your explosions, I don't know, your ridiculousn's.
I rated it, because I rate a lot of films I see on IMDb, and I give it an 8.
I think that's fair. I don't know what I'm going to give it.
We're giving it a rating.
Well, I am doing.
We are now.
No, I'm just saying that I did what I did. You don't have to, but I give it an 8, and the reason I give it an 8, I think actually it's probably only a 6.
That's what it's got on IMDb.
That's the rating. It's got 69% on Rotten Tomatoes. Tomatoes, and IMDb at 6.7. But I'll give it an 8 just because I love it so much, just because of what it means to me.
Within context as well of what it offers, in terms of what it's spawned.
Yeah, it's really, I think it's a touchstone of that sort of genre.
Thank God for Arnie. I love it.
So that's what I think. It's a touchstone of the genre. It is that kind of low budget. See, that's the thing. It's really low budget. 10 million's nothing for that.
Yeah, especially for that style of film.
Yeah.
Matthew, summarise if you want.
You caught me off guard a bit.
Yeah, I've caught myself off guard. That's why I made you go.
I enjoyed it. I really did. I kind of knew what to expect going in from Lee's sort of
berating
comments beforehand. Berating, it wasn't quite that bad. But I didn't really know what the premise of it was or anything like that.
Can you imagine going into this film back then, knowing
knowing who Arnie was,
and not even knowing the formula of that style of film, or maybe loosely not knowing it, and the phenomenon hasn't happened. Yeah, you'd go in and just be like, "I've just watched the best film ever."
Insanely violent. Just be like, he just killed everyone.
Lose your mind for a bit.
The man just killed everyone.
Are you going to give it a score? We're doing it a score out of 10 as well, which we don't normally do. But
that's a 4. If you're going to stick it into the other, it's a 4.
Okay,
but it's just that I was saying I rated it on IMDb, which is out of 10, so that's the rating I gave it. So I guess it's a 4 from me.
Tough. It's a tough one.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I want to say a 4.
We always agree.
But
we always all agree.
Yeah, I know.
It's funny though, giving it a 4. Like, giving it an 8 and giving it a 4 is slightly different.
Yeah.
Because 4 is one down from the best it could be, whereas if it's 8 out of 10, there's a gap.
Yeah.
It's not as close as the best you can get.
Yeah. But I'd feel bad giving it a 3.
Yeah.
Because
that's where I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean...
I'll go 4.
Yeah, I'm going 4. For the reasons that you've both said. So that's got a retro duck 4 out of 5.
I said 4 ducks out of 5.
4 ducks out of 5.
Yeah.
How can you not love it? And I hope you've either watched the film or this has made you want to watch it. And it's just great.
Yeah, I mean, we'd take any thoughts from anyone who's watched it. We'd really like some correspondence. So you can tweet us at duckingpod. You can email us at theduckingpodcast@gmail.com. We really like your comments on this film in particular. I'm pretty sure most people have, most guys who listen have probably seen this He's of a certain age. But yeah, I'd really like to see what you think of him. You know, because for me, I think it is one of the best Arnie films going. And if you like Arnie, I mean, if you didn't like Arnie, you'd give this film a 1.
Yeah, in fact, just let us know either way.
So if you hate it, let us know. If you like it, if you've got some points you want to make about it, or there's something that we didn't mention, or you've got any questions for us about anything.
We've had a suggestion from someone.
Yeah, someone's got in touch when they heard about us doing a Commando. They actually said that we should maybe do one about Showgirls. Which is a film. It doesn't really fit into the category of 80s action movie, but I think it's something we can come back to. Maybe in a couple of months' time, we could probably come back to it.
It's official, then. It's going to happen at some point. Carl's written it down,
and we might look at that and Basic Instinct and a few other.
Well, you could. I mean, in a way, what we could do
fantasy movies
is if we finish the 80s action movies with RoboCop. Then we can go from that. Paul Verhoeven directed that. Then we can do a couple of Paul Verhoeven films. So you could do Basic Instincts and Showgirls. So you could do a little mini-series of... So it nicely fits in.
Well, I think we're going to have a mass debate about that and see what we think. Next episode of Retro Duck, we're looking at Mad Max 2. So again, chime in on anything you want about that. Next week's episode is... back to regular format.
Yep. Star Wars.
Yes.
So any questions about Star Wars, you want those?
Because we have all the answers.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Well, we've got all the speculation you could ask for.
So join us for then. Hope you've enjoyed this. We all have.
Yeah, we always do.
I'll be back.
Well, I'll be back.
Quack, quack.